Okay, so what lessons can Muslims learn from Umar's conversion? Let's see. Okay, first of all, what can we see that anyone can change? It's a great lesson because we have many Muslims, forget about non-Muslims, many Muslims who are living a life that in which they are not practicing Muslims. And sometimes you will hear them also say, no, I've been so bad throughout my life that it's impossible for me to get hidayat. But what we can learn, because as he was a staunch enemy of the Prophet ﷺ, and the way he reverts to Islam is astonishing. So what do we learn? That anyone, no matter who, even today, if you think you're very corrupt and you're not as other people, religious people are, don't think that way. Muslims should learn that anyone can change at any time. It's just the day that you decide that you're going to change, you want to change. Okay, time needed. If you see, I've also got time needed there for any change. Like, do you see that he reverts around about in the 5th year of Hijri? Some say it's 5th year of 5th year of the Makki period, or the 6th year of the Makki period. So some people need time to be inspired, or need time. Sometimes in life we want things to happen instantly. It's not necessary that things can happen instantly. Sometimes, a person who gets inspired by Islam or inspired by the Quran could be inspired within like a few days. And somebody could be attending class or could be attending a religious gathering and not be inspired for like 5 years. So, inspiration and, transformation, it needs time. So he took his time, and he did not force Islam on himself. Nobody could force it on himself because he didn't have that type of a personality. When he did finally accept Islam, it was based on self-realization. When he realized himself that, oh my God, this is something out of this world. Because if the event of his transformation is when he goes to his sister, he's very angry. He beats his sister up. He also beats his brother-in-law up. They start bleeding. And maybe it was, you've been in a fight with your siblings most probably many times. But if in that fight, if they accidentally get hurt, and then how does your heart feel all of a sudden? Because you didn't intend to hurt your sibling in that way. But when they do finally get hurt, it changes all of a sudden in your heart. It feels heavy and you feel so sad for your sibling. So maybe that was the time of self-realization that, wait a minute, my sister has just, she's bleeding for her faith. So why is it so important to her? What is in this, in the revelations, or what is in Islam that led her to even, quarrel with me, and then me beating her up is still not, making her budge from her position. So when he asked that, okay, now tell me, what were you reading? And then Surah Taha, the verses of Surah Taha. Surah Taha is a beautiful surah. So listening to those verses, it was when he realized himself that, oh my God, this is so beautiful. This is not man-made. Nobody can make this up. What is being mentioned here is out of this world. So self-realization, when you realize yourself that, okay, this is the reality of life. If I give you an example of my self-realization, was like when I was 21 years old. And when I finally, when I took this first step towards coming towards religion and, focusing on religion, studying the Quran, that was my self-realization at that time. When I was 21, it's a really prime time of when you're young. And all I wanted to do was just know what Allah has said to us in the Quran. And then I realized through that long process, and I'm telling you, he just accepted within, just listening to Surah Taha, but, transforming or reforming yourself. It took 3 to 4 years for me to transform myself and reform myself also, and then finally enter into an institute where I can formally study the Quran. So if you see, after self-realization that you really want to change, you want to know what Allah is saying, you want to know what the Quran says, that is when a person can reform yourself. Now, after self-realization, Hazrat Umar reformed himself. Remember, first his ways were different. It is said that he also used to consume alcohol before accepting Islam. So he started reforming himself. It was his own work. And then he went to the Prophet ﷺ and accepted Islam. And then he redirected his energies. You know, some people, there's a hadith that the people who are worst were in the time of ignorance are the best in the time of Iman, because the energies that they were using for the wrong work, when they redirect their energies for good work, they excel. Because the more worse you are, when you redirect your energies, the more better you are when it comes to piety. So redirecting your energies is very important, that your negative energy, the energy that you were using negatively, now you're using it positively. You know, people who also go to psychologists for in their midlife crisis times or whatever, what your psychologist will tell you is to redirect your energy, your negative energy, redirect it to positive energy in doing something that you love doing. Basically, it could be gardening, it could be teaching, it could be, you know, anything, knitting, it could be traveling. So what did Hazrat Umar do? He redirected his negative energy into positive energy, and then he proved positive for the Muslim Ummah. Remember, after Hazrat Umar adopted Islam, after that they could openly read Salah in Makkah, in the Haram, because, you know, because of his personality, people used to fear Hazrat Umar. Knowledge, and then he gained knowledge. What was the thing that made him convert? When he listened to Surah Taha, he gained the knowledge. He assessed what he was listening to, and that was the thing that is important. That knowledge is the thing that can change you. Being changed by force or being changed by somebody else telling you to do something is different, and being changed by gaining knowledge and studying yourself is totally different. So knowledge is the thing that can transform you. And then what happened? Strengthened. I'm saying that the Muslim Ummah was strengthened by the conversion of Umar. Nobody would dare now try to harm the Muslims. Nobody would dare to prevent them from doing the Salah in Masjid al-Haram. He was a man of principles. As he wouldn't go against his principles in the day of ignorance. And then naturally, a man like that, when entering into Islam, he stuck to his word. Even in his caliphate, you can see that he stuck to this aura of being a man of principles. And then the Prophet's wish came true. Remember, the Prophet wished to either Abu Jahl accept Islam or either Umar accept Islam. So what can we see by his conversion? That Hazrat Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam's wish came true, and Umar accepted Islam. And that made the Prophet very happy, because they needed a strong person. Although they had Abu Bakr, but Abu Bakr was very, he was a very calm and a very quiet and a composed person. Hazrat Usman was also, had also accepted Islam, but he was also calm, quiet and compassionate. Now Umar in his own world was a very, he was a person, a man of principles. He was very, when it came to being harsh and rude, he would use that aspect of himself. So he was, as a personality, he was very strong. So Hazrat Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam's wish came true, that a strong person should, we need somebody to defend these weak people.